William Lawrence. He's a professor of political science and international affairs at American University. He joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Professor, it's good to have you here with us on TRT World. Now, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is back. What did he achieve?
Well, the government claims that they took several key towns, including the UNESCO World Heritage Sites and several others. The rebels are saying it's a strategic retreat, but they haven't been defeated, which is usually what defeated armies say. But the ultimate victory, in my opinion, is not going to go to one side or the other, at least in the short to medium term, because of the huge number of forces on each side and the likely inability for either side to conquer the other side in short measure. So we go right back to the initial problem that we had a year ago, which is what type of political arrangement are we going to have between the Tigray region and other regions with different levels of dissidence and the central government? And that will have to be negotiated with or without a military victory by any side. And we're still not there. And that's why Feltman is going to the UAE, Egypt, and Turkey, two of those three countries which are militarily backing Abiy Ahmed, to try to say, hey, you know, maybe just massively arming the central government with drones and other equipment isn't really the best solution here. Maybe we should work harder towards a ceasefire.
Now, Professor, what do you think could be the potential outcome of Feltman's visit to Turkey, Egypt, and the UAE?
Well, first, let me say Feltman had some egg on his face after he was in Khartoum, and immediately after he left, the coup happened. But Feltman actually helped broker, to some degree, the deal that brought Hamdok back, and he has had success in a number of other negotiations and theaters, including on humanitarian assistance to Ethiopia. And I expect that he could be pretty persuasive with the Emiratis and the Turks in particular about couching any military assistance to Abiy Ahmed in the context of moving towards a ceasefire rather than a total victory and a large amount of killing, both of military and civilian individuals. Egypt's another story. Egypt is, of course, opposed to Abiy Ahmed over the Nile River stuff and was even talking about being close to bombing Ethiopia a year ago. So these outside players do loom largely. And Feltman does have a lot of cards in his hand to try to do something similar to what happened in Libya with the ceasefire of August 2020, when the internationals were convinced that there wasn't a military solution.
Now, Professor Lawrence, on the one hand, there is an ongoing conflict in the country. On the other, there is a humanitarian crisis which is exacerbating on a daily basis. Now, what do you think needs to be done to address the humanitarian crisis in Ethiopia?
The humanitarian crisis is much, much worse than the war. It's not quite on Yemen levels where you had, let's say, 13 million people verging on starvation. You know, in Ethiopia, you've got 500,000 verging on starvation and another 4 million or so with food insecurity. Food insecurity meaning I'm not quite sure where my next meal is coming from, although I might get it. And you may have noticed that Abiy Ahmed cut off food aid to certain towns because of the conflict. And the major goal of the international community has came up with the recent appeal at the UN for billions of dollars more assistance for Ethiopia, is that we need to get food and assistance to these people, whether or not there's a war. In fact, the war is what's in the way right now. And so that's the primary goal here, is avoiding lots of civilians dying of starvation, curable diseases, and other types of humanitarian problems in a war that is killing a lot less people than the humanitarian crisis is killing. So that needs to be job one for Feltman and the entire international community.
All right, Professor William Lawrence, thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World. It's always a pleasure.